Kamala Harris, she's back in the news. She will be in the news. As long as Kamala Harris is continuing to make her rounds and she's talking out loud, there will never, ever be a shortage of content for us to continue to go into and have a conversation about. That is a fact. But recently, in the midst of Obama making headline news over the weekend and making sure that he threw black men under the bus and held us accountable, and he was simping out for these women's, in the midst of all of that, Kamala Harris and her team said, wait a minute, we might have made a mistake in deploying all of these people. They had Bill Clinton on the campaign trail. We're going to get into him shortly. But they definitely are trying to clean up and then all of a sudden try to pitch black men on why we should vote for Kamala Harris. So it's a couple different problems with that before we get into this, because I seen a quick clip of it yesterday and I talked about it on the Anton Daniels channel. But I want to talk more extensively about all of these policies and all of these pitches that they're now having for black men. I want to talk about that, right? But there's two things inherently wrong with it. Number one, why did we all of a sudden become important because you decided that you was about to lose an election? And then number two is specifically pitching black men racist or prejudiced. Are we still playing identity politics? Because now I think that she's caught between a rock and a hard place. The expectation of black people to automatically vote for Kamala Harris has put her at a disadvantage from her Republican ops. But then at the same time, does the rest of America now feel left out? What about the rest of you that's not a 13.6% of the population? What about the other 86% of the population? Do you guys feel discriminated against because now they're making pitches to black people? Woo! Woo! Yeah, we are going to get into it and we're going to continue the conversation on After Hours tonight. But before we do, let's go ahead and get into the actual video that she did with the Shade Room. And what she was saying about her pitch and not taking the black male vote for granted all of a sudden. We were never important before, but now all of a sudden they're not taking our vote for granted. I wonder if they've seen any of my videos. Anyways, let's get into it. I think that the first part is like advertisement of what's to come and all of that stuff, but let me see if I can get to the thick of things.
It makes me think he was campaigning for you in Pittsburgh before some students at the University of Pittsburgh, which is my alma mater. And he said some things that really ruffled some feathers in the news. He said, it makes me think you aren't just feeling the idea of having a woman as a president. You're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. We have not seen the same kind of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and community
I agree. I see y'all
as we saw when I was running. So when you hear those words, I'm sure you were briefed on the situation. A former Ohio State Senator, Nina Turner, she came out on CNN and said, why are you, putting black men up against the wall and pressuring them into something that possibly, they don't want to do if they want to vote for you or not. So my question to you is, do you think that what President Obama said was the right thing to say?
Okay, yeah, like I said, that was an advertisement. All right, so here's my thoughts before we get into this. Here's my thoughts. Why is a representation of a black man so sassy? Why is the representation of a black man not that of masculinity? Why are the people that are asking these questions and pitching these things and speaking on the men's behalf somehow, some way, have to be so sassy? I don't understand it, man. That is not a representation of who we are. I'm just going to be real with y'all. Again, I say what I mean and I mean what I say and I say whatever it is that I want to say because nobody controls me and nobody tells me what to do. Why is the representation of men, black men in particular, so sassy? Let's see if we can get to the thick of things and let's see if we can get to the core of what they want to talk about.
Vice President Kamala Harris, she's announced the building.
Since
Well, not
January,
really.
I realized.
Yeah, it's been like several months. And January 2024, you invited
Must be in
us
Atlanta.
for an Air Force 2 trip from LA.
Air Force Two. Can we skip past the pleasantries?
I
Do you
appreciate you.
feel
That's very
great?
kind.
It has been a whirl.
Every field separates us, and
I'm not going to mess up the words.
Did he just start
community,
singing?
Yeah.
right? And coalitions. I think that's so important.
One big theme of your campaign has been freedom.
Yes.
Freedom, right?
Yes. Yes.
Freedom, freedom, I can't lose. I'm not.
Give me a second. I'm not going to say nothing. Y'all see it for yourself. I don't have to say anything. I'm going to just try to get to the meat and potatoes of some kind of policy, all right?
It's just imperative. It's crucial right now what's going on in 2024.
I think that there is so much about what is at stake that is, frankly, the need for us to fight for the things that we hold dear, that we have always had to fight for, but must continue to fight for if they're going to be intact. And frankly, just to be very candid with you, I'm seeing across our country a full-on attempt by some to attack these hard-won freedoms and rights, right? The freedom to vote. In Georgia, for example, they passed a law making it illegal to give people food and water for standing in line to vote, which the
What? What are y'all just doing anything? Y'all just talking.
hypocrisy abounds. Whatever happened to love thy neighbor? You look at
Love thy
the
neighbor.
freedom to make decisions, for a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. The freedom to just be is under attack in so many places. And the
And I'm sure that speaks right to his demographic.
freedom to be safe from gun violence, right? And so there is so
Maybe
much
that's what
about
defund the police
what's at
was
stake
about.
in this election that really is about fighting for freedom, because the difference between me and my opponent, the former president, Donald Trump, couldn't be more different on so many of these issues. And so I'm so
Lot of
walk
fluff
on.
You and Beyonce,
I mean rallies, and
did you guys share a moment, you and Beyonce?
I mean, you know,
What was that conversation like?
She and I have. I'll tell you, the last time that I saw her was a couple years ago at BT event, and I mean, and her mother though I've been seeing a lot recently because Beyonce's been on tour. She's been doing her thing. Tina is so amazing. and
Woman of the
just-
Year, Glamour.
Yeah. She's very special. She's very special. She's been supporting me for years, and she actually, the last time I talked to her, she was organizing hair.
You guys are on an HBCU tour.
Yes, we are.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Come on,
we
HU,
are.
you know.
You know. In fact, I was with a group of incredible, distinguished men last night in North Carolina, and we were all, because we.
So if you didn't go to Howard, is there another
Oh,
school?
I can't imagine a world like that.
Would you be a Spelman? Would you be a Spelman girl? Would you go to fan into a week?
All of these interviews is so much fluff that it takes so much vetting through to get to the real stuff. But then it's actually good because I can see the type of company that she keeps and the type of people that then pander, and why they saying that it's so easy for you to convict or convince black men to get on board, because all of them is just like women. They got the sentiment and the demeanor and the characteristics and the same feelings in the inside like a woman. Let's get to the thick of it.
Week where you've been talking about really encouraging black men specifically to get out and vote, and I do want to talk about the numbers. I crunched some numbers at 3 o'clock this morning. Okay. There was a poll on Saturday. It said that almost 80% of likely black voters would vote for you if the election were held today. In 2020, though, it was 90% of black voters overall. That was from the New York Times and Siena College. And then in 2016, they also had a poll, the Pew Research Center. They said 81% of black men voted for Hillary Clinton, 14% voted for Trump. In 2020, though, that number jumped 6%. So 87% of black men voted for Biden, 12% voted for Trump in 2020. So when you hear those numbers and you're seeing, in the polls, and you're seeing black men aren't as, quote, excited or fired up for you, how do you respond to that?
Well, that's not my experience.
Okay.
One, that's not my experience. Two, election day has not arrived yet.
Okay.
And and the third point that is probably the most important point is this. When journalists ask me this question, I often will say to them that let's be clear that your underlying premise is not an assumption that I'm supposed to have black men in my back pocket in terms of their vote.
That was the assumption.
And
that's
that
what Roland Martin was pitching.
I should be taking that for granted, because I don't. Black men are no different from anybody else. They expect that you have to earn their vote. And that's why I'm out here.
That ain't what Obama
doing
said.
the work that I'm doing about talking with folks, listening with folks.
That ain't what Obama said.
I'm running for president of the United States. And it is incumbent on me to earn the support. And that is why I'm talking with folks about the work that I have done in my career, whether it be in particular as vice president, what I've done to put more billions of dollars actually into community banks to increase access to capital for small business owners. Even before I was running for president, I convened a bunch of black small business owners, all who were men, and I purposely convened them. I brought them into my ceremonial office at the White House to have a meeting about what their needs are and to make sure that they have the information about what's available to them in terms of financing, capital, and access to capital, support for what they want to do in terms of building or growing their business. So that's the kind of work I will continue to do. But here's the other thing that I think is equally important, is pointing out that there are two very different.
And how do we know that we were going to get into that part? Because I've already heard all of these pictures, so none of this is new to me. She always talk about small community banks that have access to capital, blah, 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 blah. We know that that's word salad. We know that that's bullshit, and that it doesn't actually resonate or hit anything, right? I'm sorry for cursing. My bad. I forgot we on a Millionaire Morning Show and not the Anton Daniels channel or After Hours. But we all know what the next pitch is. It's not why you should vote for her, but it's why you shouldn't vote for Trump. That don't work with black men. I don't know why they can't figure that out. With most men that actually still got their balls up under them and they feel comfortable with making sure that they stay in their masculinity, that don't work for us. It's not the same. You can't pitch us the same way that y'all pitching women, and that's the thing that the Kamala Harris campaign is missing. We not enamored with Magic Johnson. We don't give a flying F about Charlamagne the God, who is the person that's going to be interviewing you today in Detroit. We don't care about Ricky Smiley. We don't even care about what the pastor think. Pastor can't tell us what to do. We tired of paying tithes and offerings and not seeing the building fund. Every year it's a building fund, but the building ain't changed every year. We don't care. We are not enamored by celebrity. We enamored by realness, because we over that. I tell you right now, everybody in Detroit feel like they somebody. Everybody in Detroit is their own celebrity and their own head. And when they leave the house every day, they be like, I'm the man. I'm the man. Everybody is somebody in their own mind. And when they see certain people like celebrities, they be like, what up, champ? What up, though? And that's it. And they keep it moving. We don't be tripping off of none of that. And that's why everybody is so grounded. That's why you ain't never going to see me get out of pocket, because I'm just a regular everyday dude. And when I kick it with people in real life, it's like, oh man, you ain't on that Hollywood stuff at all. I'm not. I'm slow motion. You know why? Because you can't sell me on something that I'm not, that can't personally affect me in a positive way. And so you can parade out Magic Johnson, Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, and Charlemagne are all of these proposed celebrities, but we not impressed with that. So you're going to have to sell us on something else. You're going to have to sell us on something different than what you pitch in women that easily taps into our emotions. And, well, Donald Trump is going to give police immunity.
Visions for our nation that are being presented to voters right now. On the one side, you've got Donald Trump, who wants to take us backward. Donald Trump, who, let's not forget,
as usual,
when he was renting his apartments and his property, refused to rent to black families. Donald Trump, who, as it relates to 5 young black men, they were actually teenagers and Latinos, the Central Park 5, he took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for their execution. They were innocent. Donald Trump, who referred to the first black president and suggested, remember the birtherism lies, that he couldn't have been born in the United States. Donald Trump, who in his Project 2025, you know, the various things that would happen.
I cannot believe the amount of lies that y'all allow for this woman to spew in front of y'all. I cannot believe the amount of lies that you guys allow for this woman to get away with. And I don't know, it's because y'all uninformed, y'all ignorant, or y'all just trying to be a part of the go along, get along gang. That y'all allow for this woman to just say whatever it is that they want to say, whenever they want to say it. I'm amazed. I'm amazed. Y'all let her spew this nonsense, Project 2025, all of this stuff. Y'all let her just run wild with anything that she says. And in the era where they're so heavy on fact checking on the Republicans, nobody calls her out on her BS and say, come on now, you know that he ain't associated with that. You know that he ain't never said that he was ever pitching Project 2025. You know that 47 times for the next 47 president of the United States of America that he said, I don't know nothing about that. I ain't got nothing to do with that, but y'all keep pitching me as it relates to it. You know that. And I'll tell you that most black people have not read Project 2025's 900 plus page pitch and proposal. But y'all let her get away with some of the dumbest stuff ever while at the same time trying to appeal to black men.
Include allowing it or making it easier for companies to not give workers overtime pay. We cap the cost of prescription medication.
We heard
for
all of this
seniors.
before.
I know the power that people have to make a difference. And I respect that power. And I am out here doing the work of earning then the vote so that we can get to the job of continuing to move forward. And for me,
like
that is
over
about
the last 2.5 years.
pushing for an opportunity economy and doing the work of investing and giving people dignity in the process.
Now, you have a friend. His name is Barack Hussein Obama. You know him?
I do know him.
The pandering is out of control. Just do the interview. Y'all don't have to be starstruck. Listen, if you've never done an interview before, they all the same. Guess what? These are people, they put their pants on one leg at a time. Just cook. Just ask the questions and be intuitive enough to be able to pivot depending on what the person is saying. Act like you've been here before. That's what my grandmother used to say to everybody when we would go to nice places and stuff like that. Hey, act like you've been here before. Stop being extra. Just chill. Just be normal. If you don't know, ask. And if you know, then act like you know. And don't make a scene about it and don't try to be too much for what you are. You're not friends with Barack. You don't kick it with him. That's not your homeboy. Yeah, we got a friend, Barack Hussein. You heard of him. You don't need to do all of that. Just act like you've been here before, ask the questions, and let us get to the information. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
He recently in Pittsburgh.
President,
let's get it right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Obama.
President. President Barack Obama. He was campaigning for you in Pittsburgh before some students at the University of Pittsburgh, which is my alma mater. And he said some things that really ruffled some feathers in the news. He said, it makes me think you aren't just feeling the idea of having a woman as a president. You're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that.
Super chat
we have
shortly,
not
y'all.
seen the same kind of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and community as we saw when I was running. So when you hear those words, I'm sure you were briefed on the situation. A former Ohio State Senator, Nina Turner, she came out on CNN and said, why are you, putting black men up against the wall and pressuring them into something that possibly, they don't want to do if they want to vote for you or not. So my question to you is, do you think that what President Obama said was the right thing to say?
Let me tell you, I am very proud to have the support of President Obama, and that he is out traveling to talk with voters about what is at stake in this election. I'm very proud to have his support. What is also important is, one, to understand, like as I said, I intend to earn the vote of everyone, including black men. Two, pay attention to everything that President Obama talked about, because he also talked about at length the danger of Donald Trump.
Y'all know, I know y'all know my mannerisms. You know that when I take my glasses off, I get a little bit frustrated sometimes. And so bear with me. Bear with me. Roll with me. It's a little bit frustrating. They do the same thing that these women do, the same thing that these people do on the streets. They get it from her. They never answer the question. They always go into what we think we don't like about Donald Trump. We like Trump, okay? Ain't nothing you can say. Now, help us to understand why we should like you more. The question is, do you think that he was right about what he said to black men and pitching them and helping them to try to understand why they should vote for you and saying that it was misogynistic? And they didn't. You said, I appreciate him for being on the campaign trail, but guess what he said about Trump? Jesus Christ.
The danger of Donald Trump in terms of somebody who has said that they would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, somebody who has referred to black immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, legal immigrants, as though they would eat their pets, constantly perpetuating
Democrats have
tropes.
resorted to fear-mongering. They don't have any other thing
he
to stand
who,
on.
Donald Trump,
Nothing.
who said in Charlottesville,
Zero.
there are good people on each side. So I think it's really
Zero.
important to
Nothing.
focus on the stakes of this election. And there are two choices. Two choices. And
The question,
I ask everyone to look at the background, look at the work, look at the words, to have a sense of how you then choose to use the power of your vote on Election Day. But there is a very big difference between Donald Trump and how I will be president
the word
of the
salad and the deflection is strong with this one.
United States. And I cannot impress upon people enough that this is somebody, Donald Trump, who intends to take us backward. Look, this man won't even debate me a second time.
Did we all just lose sight of what the original question was, or are we just... Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't me. Because the chat is my co-host for this.
He won't even debate me a second time. He didn't do the 60 Minutes interview, which I believe every presidential candidate for President of the United States has done. He will not take up the important responsibility that every presidential candidate has done of showing their medical records, okay?
Which you just did?
Which I have done. Of course I've done it. I have done that. I have challenged him to another debate. I have given up my medical records. I did the 60 Minutes interview. And one has to ask, what is Donald Trump trying to hide? What is his staff?
And you know what's so interesting about the 60 Minutes interview? People are criticizing 60 Minutes for editing the interview in your favor as bad as you did. And you looked horrible as a result of it.
And his team trying to keep from you. And it may be the fact that, like the people who worked closest with him, his chief of staff in the White House, his national security advisor, his secretary, be president.
I want to get to the black man part.
One more thing I want to ask you before you go, and I think it's the fun part. I want to ask you about your plan for black men.
Yes.
It's something huge
Yes.
that you have just released this
Yes.
week. We're talking about 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000
Right.
to black entrepreneurs, men and women,
Yes.
correct? expanding.
So that's not for black men, number one, but let's continue. And I wonder how you got to qualify for this. Is this a form of reparations? How do you and do other Americans, hey y'all, the other 86% of y'all, 86.3% of y'all that don't get to participate in this proposal that we don't even know if she can actually implement or not. Do y'all feel left out? And they loans that they say is fully forgivable up to $20,000. I know Bandman Kevo is salivating right now. I know it's a lot of people that's looking to take advantage of this one. They didn't even catch all of the people that was guilty of the PPP loans. They didn't even catch everybody that was with the PPP loans yet. Nothing better than getting black people back to the plantation with free watermelon. Watermelon, watermelon. Thank God we got some watermelon. Except for this watermelon ain't got no seeds in it. Watermelon. Come get your watermelon. Ain't nothing like getting the people back to the plantation with some good old watermelon. Free stuff. Did y'all see how they ran off of that hair when that tenant got evicted from that location? Watermelon, watermelon.
Access to bank accounts, expanding the child tax credit. Many
Child tax credit ain't got nothing to do with black people.
things that you're doing. Housing.
Don't worry about it. We're going to go over exactly what her newly released plan is right after this, guys.
Lowering rent, making it affordable to buy a house for first-time home buyers.
Correct.
Talk to me about this plan, just in summary, and how this will impact not only black men, but all black people.
Sure. So look, I grew up in the middle class.
Oh my God! Not this pitch again. Not the middle class story, Kamala. Not the middle class. First of all, who wrote this, and do you even know what it is yet, to where you can effectively communicate it without a teleprompter? Come on, man. Come on, dog. Not the middle class story again. Not about you and your sister raised by your mother, grew up in the middle class, and she saved for a home to which y'all bought when y'all was a teenager, and your mother had a friend that owned a daycare, and they was a business owner, and so you love business owners that take care of their lawn, and you really understand it because you grew up in the middle. Not this one again. Not this speech. Come on, Cam. Let me rewind it.
So look, I grew up in the middle class. My mother worked hard. She saved up. And by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. I will never forget where I came from. Okay, by the way, my opponent, Donald Trump, was handed $400 million basically on a silver platter and filed for bankruptcy 6 times. So just keep that in mind about who's coming from where. I know the ambitions, the aspirations, the incredible work ethic that exists in our community. I know the dreams that exist.
And
but
the aspirations
not everyone
of what can be. Is that what it is?
has started out on the same base in terms of being able to realize their goals and their dreams. So my plan is to build what I call an
opportunity economy, right? Opportunity economy, where we give business owners $50,000 tax rebates because $5,000. What can you do with $5,000 when you're starting a business? To possibly give $6,000 to first-time child owners and $25,000 first-time home buyers. So my plan is an opportunity economy. Come on, man. Come on.
Goals and their dreams. So my plan is to build what I call an opportunity economy, which means giving people an opportunity to actually achieve those ambitions, those goals, and those dreams. So for example, housing is too expensive.
$25,000.
The American dream is something that previous generations could kind of
builds intergenerational wealth, right? That's our new term. intergenerational wealth. Not just generational wealth. We're going to throw a little inner on there. Intergenerational wealth.
But no more. Yeah. So one part of the problem is that we have a supply issue
3 million
in
new
terms of
homes
housing.
within your first term, because we want to be able to, because 1.8 million homes is not available for sale today. Got it.
Supply. My plan includes working with developers to do what we, and home builders, to create incentives for them to build 3 million new homes by the end of my first term.
Yep.
The second part, which is equally important, if not more,
is the down
is
payment?
to give people, first-time home buyers, a $25,000 down payment assistance.
Okay.
Because what you and I know is a lot of folks
Hey, this is the pitch to black men again.
want to be a homeowner, but they don't come from money. They don't come from some families that can necessarily give them or pass on a home or give them the equity out of their home to help them with the down payment. $25,000 down payment assistance just helps people get their foot in the door.
Because they can do the rest, because they're hard workers. They can do the rest. They just need to get their foot in the door.
Up to cover a mortgage, $6,000 child tax credit. I'm expanding the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families, so that
you can buy strollers, diapers, baby formula, child car seats, right?
First year of their child's life, they have the resources they need to buy a crib, a car seat, clothes, knowing that all parents have a natural desire to parent their children well.
And maybe we should also talk about the $50,000 tax credit rebate instead of the $5,000, because nobody can start a business for $5,000.
Not all parents have the resources to be able to do that. Opportunity. Small businesses.
Yep.
My second mother, our second mother, who helped raise
the daycare owner, whoa, we haven't heard this one before.
Us, was a small business owner.
Okay.
I know who our small business owners are. They, for our communities, they are part of the cultural, economic, civic fabric of our community. They hold the strength of hiring locally, mentoring, all that. So I'm going to change so that the tax deduction for a startup small business, change it from what it is, it's $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000 to
nobody can start a business. Because nobody can start a business with $5,000, so we need to increase that to $50,000 tax credit.
$1,000, and included in that, knowing that a lot of startup businesses then have overhead around, for example, what they need to do to buy equipment. For those who are startup and don't have the connections historically, a $20,000 forgivable loan.
Oh, that's the one for black men, up to $20,000 forgivable.
For them to be able, for example, to pay to set up a really good website.
Oh, gosh. Jesus. Lord have mercy. Oh, man. Oh, man.
So that their business
it might
could then
intersect with
thrive.
PPP loans and how, a mess. Some people were involved with that, the PPP loans and fraud and all of that.
Fraud. Listen, I spent a career
prosecuting transnational crimes from gangs and migrants and things that are coming over the border.
Prosecuting people for fraud. So we will take care of the abuses, but that's not a reason to not give people an opportunity to thrive. I think there is a real misconception that people just, and only their highest aspiration is to have a job. That's not where I come from in terms of how I think of it.
All you've ever had is a job that's been paid for by taxpayers. You've never opened up a business in your life.